Hello. In this video, we're going to be focusing on the focus skill of transitions. Now, here's some tips I have for this kind of question. First of all, you need to understand that transitions essentially show the relationship between the words. So if you can answer what the relationship between the words are, then you'll be able to find out which transition is most appropriate for you. Second tip, process of elimination, eliminating obviously wrong answers, things that don't fit in whatsoever. Those will be pretty good options for you most of the time. Three, it's important to look at the whole context because if you only look at specific parts, you're not necessarily making sense of the transition. If you have the whole context, if you're able to understand everything, then sure, you'll get the right answer. You'll be more likely to get the correct answer, rather. Number four, sometimes transitions occur using common patterns. If you can see these patterns that repeat in other transition questions or literature or text in general, if you see these kinds of patterns with transition words, then if you're able to recognize that, you'll be able to answer these questions more effectively. And then the process of elimination here. This one's going to be eliminating obviously wrong answers, but also make sure that you're going through the answers properly. Make sure you understand why you're eliminating this one. Does this not make does your answer not make sense? Does another one does it not really fit the context of the question? As long as you think about everything clearly, you'll have a generally good idea of how you're going to approach this kind of question. All right, now I'm going to read this text over here and answer this question just to show you how you can do this. In 1942, the 1,500-mile Alaska Highway was constructed in under 9 months, largely due to the skilled work of nearly 4,000 African American soldiers from the U.S. Army engineering regiments. The soldiers' contribution was overlooked for decades. Blank, in 2017, lawmakers declared October 25th a day of recognition, Alaska Highway Day, for the troops who helped build this critical roadway. Which choice completes the text with the most logical transition? All right, so what we can see here, it begins with 1942 and ends in 2017. So these events are happening in chronological order, so one after the other. So based on that, we can say that B is the best answer here. It's not really giving us an example, it's not really giving us a similarity, and lastly would imply it's if it was in chronological order, this would be like a series of events. But in this case, it's only two events. So this is why B is the best answer. All right, let's practice with this one. Pause and try to figure this one out before I show you. All right, so the correct answer here is A. And the reason is that it's giving us more detail here. Like, for example, Coleridge Taylor emphasized mixed race ancestry. He referred to himself as Anglo African. In addition, he incorporated the sounds of traditional African music into his classical music compositions. They're giving us more information over here. They're not elab they're not clarifying something in more detail or clearing up any misunderstandings. There isn't really anything, it's not really saying however, it's not really saying but he incorporated the sounds of traditional African music into his music compositions. It's not really make the last thing in front of it. What precedes it doesn't really make sense for you to say, however. And then, regardless, same thing. It's not, this sentence over here isn't something that opposes the sentence before it. So, in addition is the best phrase here, the most logical transition, because this is what provides further context for the musical composer. All right, try pausing this one to figure it out. Alright, so the correct answer to this one is B. And the reason this can be seen is in the first sentence. Most of the planets that have been discovered outside the solar system were G-type stars, like our sun. In 2014, however, researchers identified a planet orbiting Kelt 9, a B-type star. So over here, they're giving us something different from what they give us over here. They give us G-type stars, whereas we have B-type stars. So it's not likewise, it's not therefore because it's not giving us any further evidence supporting an argument or anything, and it's not giving us an example. It's saying, however, because this is contradicting what we know before. All right, practice number 4. Please pause this one to try to figure it out. The correct answer is C. Now, the reason it's C is when we look at the second sentence over here. He conquered all of Mesopotamia and built Babylon into one of the most powerful cities of the ancient world. Today, however, he is mainly known for a code of laws inscribed on a 7-foot tall block of stone, the Code of Hammurabi. Now, the reason we use however here is because we're given this information about him before. We're given stuff that would have made him someone worth remembering. And while these are notable accomplishments, they aren't what he's known for today. He's now known for the Code of Hammurabi, which is why C is the best choice here. Okay, please take a few seconds to solve this one. Okay, the correct answer to this one is D. So here, in the first sentence, in a heated debate in biogeography, the field is divided between dispersalists and vicarianists. That is, there are those who argue that dispersal is the most crucial determining factor in a series distribution, and those who insist that vicariance, separation due to geographic barriers, is. So these what's giving the reader further elaboration. What do these terms mean? And then they're defining it, they're explaining it. Furthermore, doesn't really make sense in this context because you're not really giving us any information. You're just giving us two terms that you have to elaborate. By contrast, doesn't work either because you're not giving us any contrasting information. And same thing with similarly, you're not giving us different information. All right, try solving this one. Pause the video here to see if you can get the right answer. The correct answer is B. Now, the letter was addressed to a local merchant, Henry Cullen. Ultimately, though, Bolivar's goal was to persuade political leaders from England and Europe to support his cause. Ultimately, he is used to say that this was his final goal. This was what he was trying to do all along. So by saying ultimately, that's what we get. That's the impression we get from the text. Additionally, doesn't really make sense over here. It could work, but ultimately is a better fit because that's showing us an intention behind Bolivar's goal. Accordingly, doesn't quite work either because ultimately is a better word here. And consequently, it doesn't really show cause and effect. It shows us what we're doing and the reasoning. So once again, B is going to be the right answer for this one. I hope that this clarified any questions and concerns you had about the transition section of the digital reading and writing SAT. Thank you all for watching this video.